Letty, for that warm welcome. Hello, everyone. I'm Vui Nguyen, and I'm here to discuss how you can easily reuse custom Swift UI design elements with Swift packages. By the way, I'm based in Denver, Colorado, the U.S., and this is my first time visiting Toronto, so thank you so much for having me. So before I dive into my talk today and what it's about, let's discuss what problem we're trying to solve. For example, I have my own freelancing company called Sunfish Empire. I have a couple of personal apps in the market, but they don't share the same branding or theming. But what if I wanted them to? And I want to make it easy to reuse the design elements across the code base of all of my apps. For example, here's a sample project I put together for this talk. The top line there is Apple's default system font in regular weight, and the bottom line shows my custom font in regular weight. What if I wanted to display my custom font instead of the default Apple font in my apps? And here's yet another example, also from my sample project. The top line displays Apple's version of the color teal, but I don't want my apps to show that. I want my apps to show my custom version of the color teal, like what you see in the bottom line. How would I do that? Now, as with software engineering, there are multiple ways to solve a problem. But since you're here, I'm assuming you're interested in hearing my solution. So let's dive in already. So what we're going to cover today is I'm going to introduce the problem and tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm talking about this problem. Then I'm going to give you a quick demo of the solution I came up with. And I'll talk about how to set up your Swift package and project. Then I'll discuss how you can create custom fonts that you can apply to text, how you can create custom colors that you can apply to text, how you can create custom colors that you can apply to shapes, and finally I'll share some resources. And by the way, a link to these slides will be posted in my Discord channel, so you don't have to worry about taking a bunch of notes. So what's the use case we're going to cover today? I want to be able to apply custom fonts and colors to multiple iOS projects for consistent branding and theming. I want to demonstrate creating or extending view modifiers to take custom fonts and colors. And we're going to try to match Apple's view modifier syntax whenever possible. And that's because I came up with the solution while working on a project for a Fortune 50 company. Now, while working on this sample project for this talk, of course, I had to take out the proprietary stuff. But this is why matching the Apple view modifier syntax is so important, to make it user-friendly for developers using your library. We want to achieve code reuse or modularity using Swift packages. And we're going to keep it simple by starting with building a Swift package and the iOS project in tandem. And this is a good solution for Swift UI views. And this is what my talk will not cover. And I have to say that I have a lot of respect for designers and accessibility experts. Unfortunately, I'm not a designer, and I don't have the time to properly go over accessibility in depth, so I will share those resources with you at the end of my talk, including the link to my project repo. So who am I? I'm Vui Nguyen. I've been writing software for over 20 years, 10 of those years as a mobile developer, both cross-platform and native iOS. And as I mentioned before, this talk is a solution to a problem I solved at a previous job. I like to share solutions to problems I've solved in the past. And I want to give y'all an incentive to stay till the end of my talk. So I'm going to play two truths and a lie with you, but the answer will be revealed at the end. So you want to stay till the end. So which one of these is the lie? Is it that I recently became the new leadership fellow for Women Code Mobile? Is it that I first saw sugar gliders while volunteering at my local animal shelter? Or is it that I adopted this bearded dragon from the animal shelter? So take a look at these pictures. They might give you a clue to what the lie is. So here's a little demo. This is a sample kitchen sink app that I built to demo the different ways you can use my design library. You can apply custom fonts and colors to text, both to the foreground color and the background color. You can also apply custom colors to shapes in different ways. So let's start by going over how to set up the Swift package and project workspace. Since we want to start by creating a local Swift package that you can build in tandem with your iOS project, you can do that by creating a directory within your iOS project workspace to hold your local Swift package. I called mine local packages, but you can call it whatever you like. So you do that by going to Xcode file, new package, and you want to place your Swift package in that new directory. And add your Swift package to the same workspace as your iOS project. Okay, so next you want to add your Swift package to your frameworks. You do that by selecting your workspace in the targets list, and in the general window, tap on the plus sign under frameworks. Select your Swift package in the frameworks window, and if you do this correctly, your Swift package should now appear in your list of frameworks. And in order to test or run the correct Swift package on your iOS project, make sure to create a separate scheme for each of them. Now, if you set up your project correctly, you will see both your Swift package and your iOS project in the same project workspace, but they each live in their own space and they will not overlap one another. So to recap, in order to set up your Swift package and project, you want to add a new Swift package in the same workspace as your iOS project to start. You want to add your Swift package to your frameworks. You want to create two schemas, one for your Swift package and one for your iOS project. And check your project layout to make sure that your Swift package is inside the same workspace as your iOS project. Now that we've got our project set up, let's discuss how to create custom fonts that you can apply to text. As you recall from the demo, we want to be able to display custom fonts like this. So, in order to use your SDK, start by importing your Swift package into the file that you want to use it in. And here's where I add my code to display the two text boxes. I also created a variable called font size so I can use it throughout the view. And here's how you use both the regular Apple System font and your custom Sunfish regular font. Notice how you use the same font view modifier syntax to display both. Next, I'll explain how this is done. So let's start by finding a custom font. I went to fontmirror.com/Balota, and you want to look for a free license. And I looked for the font weights regular, light, and bold. Now, just a little warning, if you use fonts that don't have a free license, they will not load in Xcode. You'll just see the default system fonts. Now, non-free fonts that you've paid for might work, but I haven't tried that yet. Okay, so next you want to import your fonts into your Swift package by placing them under sources/package name in your Swift package. And this is important to place your font files under the sources folder of your Swift package so they can be found later. So next you want to add the path to your files in your package.swift file. It doesn't have to be in its own subfolder fonts, but it must be in resources. And again, this will enable your Swift package to find your resources like your fonts, colors, etc. in the resources folder. And this includes all subfolders of resources. So next you want to load your fonts by registering them with the font manager before they can be used. You do this by taking all the font names in the package bundle and register them with the font manager. The Sunfish font name is an enum to represent the file names of the fonts. I did this to avoid using string literals in the console. Now notice how the font view modifier to add the custom font looks similar to the font view modifier to use Apple Systems font. I will go through each of these steps to implement the custom font view modifier in more detail over the next few slides. So now we want to create a Sunfish font enum to represent our custom font. Sunfish font is an enum with associated values, size for font size, and Sunfish font weight to represent font weight. This enum is what allows us to type .sunfish into the .font view modifier for the text box. Notice that when we call sunfish font.name and the font weight is regular, that returns the regular version of the Sunfish font. Next, we extend font by overloading the font.custom function to take a Sunfish font. So we do this by first loading the fonts before we can use them, and then once the fonts are loaded, we can call Apple's font.custom function, passing in our Sunfish font. Oops, sorry. Okay, so now we want to create a view modifier to take in our overloaded font.custom function. And then we want to extend the view to take in our custom view modifier. This last step is what makes it possible to call the custom font view modifier. So I know that was a lot, so let's do a quick recap. In order to create custom fonts that we can apply to text, we first start by finding our fonts, importing the fonts into the Swift package, register our fonts before we can use them, then implement our custom or new .font view modifier. And again, if you see Apple system fonts instead of your fonts, review the last few slides to see if you missed anything. So next, we'll discuss how to create custom colors that we can apply to text. As you recall from the demo, we want to be able to display custom colors on text like you see here. So again, you want to import your Swift package in whatever file you're going to use it in. And here's where I add the code to display the two text boxes. And once again, I create a variable called font size so I can use it throughout the view. And here's how you display text in both the regular Apple teal color and the custom Sunfish teal color. Notice how you use the same foreground color view modifier to display both. So let's dig in how this is done. Now, here's one way to do this, and I'm going to go through each of these steps in more detail in the next few slides. So first, we want to start by finding an image with the colors that you want. I chose a drawing of this pumpkin seed sunfish to represent the colors of my company's brand. Of course, a pumpkin seed is a type of sunfish for those of you that don't fish. Not everyone knows that. Next, we want to add the assets catalog to the Swift package and place it under the resources folder of your Swift package. Again, this is important since we made resources a directory in the Swift package earlier for the Swift package to find our assets. So now we want to add a color in the assets catalog. It can be anything you want. This will change later. Then you want to tap on the color and tap on Show Color Panel while in the Attributes Inspector. Also notice the dropper in the color panel, which we will use in the next slide. So next, we want to use a dropper in the Xcode color panel and tap on a spot in the image to update the color in the assets file. And you can make the dark version of your color the same as any appearance or something different depending on your company's branding for light or dark themes. Okay, so notice how the foreground color view modifier to display the custom color looks similar to the foreground view modifier to use Apple's color. In this case, we only need to extend the existing Apple modifier to take in our custom color this time. So I'm going to go through each of these steps to extend the foreground color view modifier in more detail over the next few slides. So first we want to create a sunfish color enum to represent our custom colors. This represents colors that were created in our assets catalog. Next, we will extend color to initialize color from sunfish color. We use the sunfish color enum to point to the custom color in the assets catalog. Then we want to extend shape style to use the custom color initializer. Color such as sunfish color is a concrete type of the shape style protocol. So this means you don't use shape style directly. Instead, you extend shape style so you can use one of its concrete types, like sunfish color, later. So now existing Apple view modifiers, like foreground color, that take a shape style can now take a sunfish color. And now foreground color can take a shape style or color of type sunfish color. Now let's move on to background color. Notice Apple's version of the color pink. It kind of looks more magenta in my opinion. So I want to use my version of the color pink, which you see in the bottom line. Once again, you'll want to import your Swift package into the file that you're going to use it in. And again, I set font size so it can be reused in this text file, or reused in the text boxes. Now we've already gone over how to implement the font view modifier, but see once again how the background view modifier looks the same for both displaying Apple's pink as well as our custom sunfish pink. So how do we do this? Well, guess what? The code's already been done. I was hoping for more enthusiasm. Thank you. All right, so in order to extend the background view modifier method, we've already created sunfish color enum. We've already extended color to initialize color from sunfish color. We extended shape style to use the custom color initializer. And therefore, existing Apple view modifiers like background that take a shape style can now take a sunfish color. So, as I mentioned before, view modifiers like background that take a shape style can now take a sunfish color. So now you can see background there is now taking in a sunfish color. So to recap, in order to create custom colors that we can apply to text, first we want to create or find our custom colors. We want to import our custom colors into our Swift package. Then we can extend shape style to include custom colors. And therefore that means we can easily extend existing Apple view modifiers that take custom colors using shape style. And this process works for the foreground color modifier, the background modifier, and yeah, that's it. Next, we'll move on to our final segment, which is creating custom colors that we can apply to shapes. Here we want to draw a rectangle and fill it with our custom teal color. See how we use the Apple fill view modifier syntax, but we are passing in our custom color, not the standard Apple teal color. And once again, all the steps we need to take have already been done. So in order to extend the fill view modifier method, we create a sunfish color enum. We extended color to initialize color from sunfish color. We extended the shape style to use custom color initializer. Therefore, view modifiers like fill that take a shape style can now take a sunfish color. And this is kind of just repeating what I said, but view modifiers like fill that take a shape style can now take a sunfish color. So now you can use fill with sunfish teal. Next, let's fill a circle with our custom color and draw a border around the circle with another custom color. So in this case, we're creating a completely new modifier instead of overloading or extending an existing Apple View modifier. That's because there is no way to natively fill and stroke border at the same time, so we're going to build that ourselves to use our custom colors. Since we are implementing a completely new view modifier, most of the steps have been done except for the last one. So we've created sunfish color enum. We've extended color to initialize color from sunfish color. We extended shape style to use a custom color initializer. But now we need to extend the shape class by creating a custom fill method that can take shape style of type sunfish color. I'll go over more detail on how to do that in the next slide. So under the hood of our custom fill method, we're actually calling Apple stroke and background view modifier methods. Since those methods take in a shape style, which we've already extended to include sunfish color, this means we can now call our custom fill view modifier and pass in our custom sunfish pink to fill the circle and custom sunfish brown to draw the circle's border. So now on to our final example. We want to draw an ellipse with the border in our custom sunfish blue and the background of our shapes view in sunfish yellow. Here we are calling individually Apple stroke border and background view modifier methods, but passing in our custom sunfish colors. Once again, all the steps we need to take have already been done. So to extend our stroke border and background view modifier methods, we've already created a sunfish color enum to represent our custom colors. We extend color to initialize color from sunfish color. We extended shape style to use a custom color initializer. So now existing Apple View modifiers like stroke border and background that take a shape style can now take a sunfish color. So to recap, in order to create custom colors that we can apply to shapes, we want to first create or find our custom colors. We want to import those custom colors into our Swift package. And we can easily extend existing Apple View modifiers to take custom colors by extending shape style. This works for the fill modifier, the stroke border modifier, and background. And now we also needed to implement a new custom view modifier that can take custom colors through the extended shape style. And this worked for our custom fill and stroke border modifier. All right, so we've been through a lot. Let me quickly share some resources. I talked a little bit about Swift packages, so here's a couple of links if you want to know more about that. And I also talked a lot about view modifiers. So here's a very useful one from Hacking with Swift. And there's a really great Codeco article written by Daniela, who is another fellow speaker at SwiftTO. And here's some resources for design and accessibility. I want to give a shout out to Susanna, who is a member of the Women Who Code mobile community, and also Terry, another fellow speaker at SwiftTO, for helping me find these resources. And here's my project repo. Again, I will share a link to these slides a little bit later. All right, so this is what you were all waiting for, right? You want to know which is the lie. Drum roll. Okay, so 2 truths and a lie. Did I recently become the new leadership fellow for Women Code Mobile? Yes. So there's also a reason why I'm wearing this shirt. I just want to say real quickly that I'm following in the footsteps of Navati, who is an outgoing fellow. So I learned so much from her, and thank you so much, Navati, for supporting our community. So the next one. Did I first saw sugar gliders while volunteering at the animal shelter? That is true. First time I played with them, saw them in person, so it was very exciting. But did I adopt this bearded dragon? No. It was kind of fun to play with, but my husband and I weren't quite ready to adopt this bearded dragon, but it was nice to meet its acquaintance. So that's the end of my talk. Again, I'm Vui Nguyen. Please follow me on Twitter. There's my link tree if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn or other places. And you can also email me with questions. Thank you so much.